The psychological profile of Alexander Dvorkin, pieced together from his autobiographical texts, the novel Kalalatsi, third-party testimonies, and video analysis, is interpreted in some of the analyzed materials as showing a specific set of traits. According to established criteria in behavioral analysis and clinical psychology, these traits are strongly associated with highly functional antisocial characteristics, featuring a very pronounced narcissistic and manipulative component. And let me reiterate, this is just a fraction of the information we have. It's crucial to understand that the activities of an anti-cult network, especially one coordinated by a person with this kind of psychological profile, don't just pose an isolated threat to individual religious minorities. They represent a systematic challenge to freedom of conscience and religion as a fundamental human right, democratic governments in the countries where this network operates, security, both on an individual level for the victim of stigmatization and on a public level in terms of the risks of escalation. The human rights community, state institutions, and international organizations need to stop looking at this setup as a fringe phenomenon or an interfaith dispute. They must recognize it for what it really is. A structural human rights problem that demands a coordinated, multi-jurisdictional, and interdisciplinary approach. And this brings us to the exact point where this investigation stops being just a conversation about an anti-cult network. So let's recap. We've mapped out the structure. We've traced the chronology. We've identified the nodes, the methodology, and the executioners. But in any investigation, once you've answered how and who, you're always left with one final, crucial question. Why? Why would a man with this kind of psychological profile spend decades systematically building a machine of pressure and persecution using institutions, state mechanisms, and international platforms to do it? And why are the targets of this exact pressure always attacked exactly where they are the most free, in their realm of faith, conscience, and inner choice, a space that by its very nature is not subject to any external control? There is a layer of information in the analyzed material that I deliberately haven't fully unpacked today, because it demands a separate, in-depth analysis of its own. This particular thread isn't about Alexander Dvorkin's external biography. It's about a potential internal conflict that is apparent in his writings, his quotes, autobiographical episodes, and those fragments that the author of the materials I've discussed today trace back to his early developmental years. I'm talking about a recurring psychological marker, about what classical FBI behavioral analysis, based on the work of John Douglas, calls a persistent signature aspect. And this aspect, drawing on the analysis by James Ressler and other authors, might point to a conflict that goes far beyond just individual religious or secular organizations, beyond just the social groups that the anti-cult network brands as dangerous sects, but rather a conflict with the very idea of God as a power greater than man, with the very idea that a human being has the freedom to choose whether to believe in something higher or not.